Hey everybody, and welcome back to 365 Riffs for Beginning Guitar. Today we have a classic from Canned Heat, a very bluesy tune going up the country, a chance to use your capo way up high, the 8th fret, simple strumming, simple chords, a nice repeating figure on the D major chord. Sounds like this. So let's talk about the skills you need for going up the country. Capo at the 8th fret for starters. That's going to put us in the key of B flat. Now I'm going to grab what looks like a D chord. If you have any concerns about why a D chord grip with a capo at the 8th fret is called a B flat chord, that's okay. Check out my YouTube channel. There's a playlist all about music theory for guitar players, okay? And if you want some more music theory, check out my website down there, Songbike, okay? But nevertheless, for your left hand, it's going to feel like a D chord, right? So you need D. You need a G7 chord. And you need A7. And that's it for the chords. Now, in terms of the strumming, it's simple down-up strumming, but Canned Heat does a cool thing, specifically on the D chord. See that? The left hand is staying down for 3 of the strokes. 1, 2, 3, and then it comes off for the 4th. Of course, don't really let your hand fly away like that. But specifically on the D chord, which is the main chord in the song, it creates a neat effect. Okay, you don't do that for the G7 and the A7, but for the D you do. Now, hold the pick really lightly, really lightly. And when you're doing any upstrokes, and especially that upstroke on those open strings, really you're glancing off maybe 2 or 3 strings, okay? Just whatever you do, don't worry about hitting all the strings of a D chord, okay? Nice light touch. So in the next clip, when you get into the tune, you're going to see the letter D, the chord name G7, A7. Every time you see that letter, it represents down, up, down, up. Okay, it represents that many strokes. Of course, in the G7, you're not going to lift off on the final one. Okay, that's 1 G7 right there. And that's it. Now, before we get into the heart of the tune, I want to point out that this song is a great example of a 12-bar blues tune. Okay, a 12-bar blues. And again, if you have any concerns about what that means, a 12-bar blues, check out my music theory videos, okay? So much popular music is based on the 12-bar concept, okay? It's a formula that's tried and true and proven to be very popular. And it's a great way to build a song if you're a songwriter, okay? The 12-bar blues. Okay, so you ready to get into the heart of the tune? Here it comes. I want to point out a couple of cool things before we get started here. When you strum that D and do the down, up, down, and then let go on that last strum, that's going to facilitate an easier change to the G7 when it's time to go to the G7, okay? And later on, it's going to help you get to the A7 faster. The point is, when it's time to transition, use that moment to begin moving with your fretting hand, okay? It's not about simply letting go at that point. It's about getting to the next chord in the nick of time. And for most of my students, I see them struggle with that in the early days. They know the chords, they know the strumming, but getting to the chord in real time is tough, especially with a relatively quick tune like this. Second thing I want to point out is those open strings actually have a musical value. If you think of your typical G chord, the typical G chord has the open 2nd, 3rd, and 4th strings, right? So when you strum that open sound there, 3 of the 4 strings are implying a G chord. Now you could say, yeah, what about the skinny open string there? Well, okay, that is not a note that's found in the G chord, but you know, it does basically sound like a G chord in there, and that has a cool effect. G and D go together well, and so in a way, the rhythm guitar part is giving you a free G chord there every time, just a quick little G, just for the fun of it. So keep that in mind. You have I call it an instant G waiting for you. Anytime you're strumming something, if you hit those 3 strings open, you get a G chord, right? It's a G triad. It's the 3 notes you need. A D, a G, and a B is all you need. Okay. Anyways, let's get into the strumming of the tune. Okay, I'm going to take this slow and steady. I'm going to be on the D for 8 of those sequences. 8 down, ups, okay? Before I change the G7. Okay, here it comes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Going up the country, where don't you wanna go? G7. Okay, couldn't be easier, right? Now, if you have an eagle eye, you might have noticed that the final upstroke on the G7 and the A7, at that moment, I'm really tempted to let go to get to the next chord then as well, okay? Not for musical reasons, but for practical reasons to get to the next chord. You're always allowed to do that. And if you've seen my other videos, it's something I really want to drive home. You're always allowed. I should say 99% of the time. I'm sure there's some examples out there where it's not a good idea. But you're always allowed to, I call it abandoning the chord you're on so that you can get to the next chord in time, okay? You know, one little upstroke. Don't worry, the listener's not going to notice it, okay? And you might not have noticed me doing it, but if you did, it was intentional. Or at this point, it's practically just a habit, you know? All right, you get the idea there, right? Classic rhythm guitar, strumming and chords, very straightforward. And I want to leave you with one last thought, something I said before. Really light grip on the pick, really light, okay? Any tension there, and you're going to get a clanky sound that certainly doesn't fit this song, and it's probably a bad idea for strumming most songs, you know, if not all songs. So really light grip on the pick, just to the point where you're almost about to drop it, okay? I'm serious. If you drop the pick, that's not necessarily a bad sign. It's unfortunate, right? But that's the goal. Very light grip. Okay, you get the idea. Hey everybody, we've come to the end of another classic song, another video. This song is going to be part of a playlist called 365 Riffs for Beginning Guitar. Please check out that playlist at my YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. And like I said, check out my website down there, SongMike, for tons and tons of videos not available on YouTube. And that's going to do it for today, huh? Kind of a quick one. That's all right. Thank you, Canned Heat. Beautiful tune. Definitely showing their blues influences, right? It's a blues tune, right? There you go. Okay, everybody. I'll see you for another classic song tomorrow.